Welcome back to our second DVD out of 3. Lindsey, what else has the elite told you?
Well, first of all, Stan, let me say thank you so much for moderating. I appreciate you allowing me to use the studio, and it's a privilege to be back again with you for what the elite have said.
We're glad to have you.
It's not from the tea leaves or the fortune teller, not from the stargazers. This is actually what the elite themselves, plan to do. Now, I'll just give a little resume here. Some of the things I was told that will happen within 12 months. First of all, the elite do not want war with Iran. You can pretty much take this out of your mind for the time being, even though there may be some skiers out there. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, it's merely saber rattling. It will distract your attention from the true issues that may be taking place in Washington that they're doing. Healthcare bill, it is not a healthcare bill. He said, this is government takeover. Read between the lines. Understand what these people are doing. Try to set our mindset where theirs is so that we will understand them. Let me begin, if I may, with crude oil. After all, you do drive that automobile. You put the heating fuel in your tank in cold weather. Fuel affects everything from the jet aircraft to your home to your job. I was told a year ago that crude oil was going from $147 a barrel to $50 a barrel, and within 3 months, it did exactly what I was told.
Exactly.
I was laughed at. It happened exactly like they said, and therefore I can easily believe that it is going to where he says it's going now. So let me mention that if you saw my DVDs back about a year ago, I stated the fact that they had told me that the price of crude oil was going from $147 to $50 and would remain somewhere in the area of $50 a barrel. Well, it's up to $80 a barrel, back down to $70, and fluctuating all over the place above $50. So when I was talking with this elitist, I said the price of crude oil has gone up to $80. Where is it going now? And I emphasize the word now. And he just laughed. He said, Chaplain, come on. He said the price of crude, I'll never forget this. This was so comical. These fellows do have a sense of humor sometimes. And he said, Chaplain, the price of crude oil is not $80 a barrel, it's $50. Well, what do you do when you're talking with one of the people who makes the decision?
That rules the world.
That rules the world.
Don't argue.
What do you say to him whenever he says, no, and I saw it right there. I mean, I knew where it was that day. And he said, no, it's not. It's $50 a barrel. And so I tried to get my composure and see if I couldn't figure out how to ask him the leading question. And so I finally did. And I said, well, what do you mean it's $50 a barrel? He said, Chaplain, whether the world wants to admit it or not, he said, crude oil is still sold in dollars. Now, you remember a while back that they said they were going to get a basket of currencies, but they haven't been able to do it yet. They may in the future, but he said for right now, whether the world likes it or not, oil is still denominated in dollars. He said crude oil is still the standard currency of the world. And everything revolves around crude oil. Watch crude oil prices. Now, here's my first key. And everybody out there in the viewing audience, I beg of you, I'm going to give you a sign. This sign, now the elite do. They gave the sign of Katrina. 2 weeks before they had before Katrina, they had the movie Oil Storm. It was a buzzword. It was a sign as to what was going to happen. And we talked about some of that in the first DVD. Now, let's go to a sign. And here it is. The sign, crude oil prices. Watch them, and you'll know the sign of the elite as to where they are in what they're going to do with the dollar. When crude oil prices go, you know exactly where the dollar has gone.
Okay, meaning when crude oil prices go up, the value of the dollar does what?
That means the dollar's going down.
That's what I thought.
In value, in purchasing power.
Okay, but now he was saying that the price of crude oil is still $50. Explain that.
Thank you.
We look at here, we see it's $75, $80 now, but he says, no, it's still 50. What's going on?
And it may go to 90. It may go to 100. But he said it's 50. And I said, explain. Yes, as you said to me. He did. He said, okay, first of all, he said, we are going to allow the OPEC oil-producing countries of the world, anybody who trades in oil, he said, we're going to allow them to get $50 a barrel. But he said, the dollar is still the currency in which oil is traded, and he said they will get the purchasing power of the dollar as of the time that I told you it was going to $50 a barrel. That means a year ago, the purchasing power of the dollar, what would it purchase? That's the purchasing power. In other words, it still stays that they're getting $50 in purchasing power, even though it may be $80 a barrel. The purchasing power is still the purchasing power of what $50 would have been. In other words, if you paid, let's take any item you want to. We could take a silver dollar or a 1 ounce gold piece. And let's say that 1 year ago, you could buy that gold piece for, I'm just going to...
Around $900, I think is correct.
Yeah, $900.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, today, it would take $1,000 to $1,500 to buy that 1 ounce gold piece. That means what would be the purchasing power of a dollar a year ago compared to what it is right now? And that's what they're going to allow the oil-producing countries of the world to get, not the number of dollars, but the purchasing power of the dollar as of the time they took it to $50 a barrel.
So when it's at $80 and he says, no, the price is still 50, what indirectly he's saying is the value of the dollar has already gone down to the point to where now, even though it's selling at 80, the price is still $50.
There is your sign. You got it? The sign. Oh, that $80, only $50 it would have only taken $50 a year ago to buy the same thing $80 will buy today. So when they took it down from $147 to $50 a barrel, now, in order to purchase the same thing with that $50 today, because of the devaluation of the dollar, it takes 80 of them instead of 50 of them. It took $800 to buy an ounce of gold back then. Mm-hmm. It takes $1,000 to $1,500 to buy an ounce of gold today. That means that the purchasing power of the dollar is the only thing that has changed. The gold is still 1 ounce of gold. The silver is still 1 ounce of silver.
In other words, in terms of crude oil, as it relates to gold, is the same price, and he says it's going to continue to stay the same price. So if we see the value of crude oil continue to go up, what it's really telling us is that's a standard by where we can measure how much the dollar goes down, correct?
That's the buzzword. That's the sign. And watch it, because he made it very plain that the oil-producing countries of the world will be allowed to have, he controls them. I mean, they control these people. The Arabs think that they control the price of a barrel of oil. It's a joke. OPEC doesn't control the price of a barrel of oil at all. The price of a barrel is controlled by the elite. And wherever they want it is where it's going to go.
Then are you indirectly saying that there's not Arabs that are a member or a part of the ruling elite?
I don't know. I saw a few of them at Prudhoe Bay, but I did not know who they were. The group of the ruling elite that I knew did not necessarily contain any of these people that I saw, but that doesn't mean that I saw all of them.
Okay, this is risky, but would I be correct in saying that most of the ruling elite are white Anglo